Have you ever asked yourself what truly matters after years of dedication to helping others? Hello, everyone. I'm Emily. Welcome back to Esoteric Uplift. Today, we're sharing a testimony sent by Margaret Akonkwo-Adeyemi, so let's read her mail together. My name is Margaret Akonkwo-Adeyemi. I am a 56-year-old missionary from Lagos, Nigeria, serving in rural Mozambique for the past 19 years. Before Mozambique, I served in South Sudan, in northern Ghana, in the remote provinces of the Democratic Republic of Congo. 30 years of mission work. More villages than I can count. More kilometers walked than any odometer could measure. I gave everything to this work. On a Tuesday morning in a small clinic in Zambezia province, my heart stopped for 8 minutes. And what Jesus showed me about mission will permanently change how you understand what we were actually sent to do. Please subscribe to this channel. This testimony belongs to every person who has ever tried to bring good news somewhere. Let me tell you what a Tuesday morning looks like in rural Mozambique. It begins before the sun has finished deciding to rise. The specific quality of early morning light in Zambezia province, soft, amber, arriving gently over the cassava fields with the tentative warmth of something that does not want to overwhelm before it is ready, is one of the things I will carry from this place for the rest of my life. I had been in this particular village for 14 months, long enough to know the morning sounds. The roosters that started before the light. The women already moving toward the water source. The children who appeared at the clinic door before I had unlocked it, not because they were sick, but because the clinic represented something: consistency, attention, the specific reliability of a person who showed up. I had been showing up in villages for 30 years. My colleague Sister Perpetua knocked at my door at 6:15. "Water is boiling," she said. "You want tea?" "Always," I said. "You slept?" she asked. "Adequately," I said. The honest answer to that question in this context was almost always adequately. Not well. Adequately. "Big day," she said. "Every day is a big day," I said. A habit of 30 years of mission. You did not allow yourself to categorize days as small because small days were the ones that contained the moments nobody was watching, and those were frequently the most significant ones. She left. I stood at the clinic window with my tea and looked at the village coming alive. And I thought, as I thought every Tuesday morning, "Lord, show me where I am needed today." I did not expect the answer to arrive the way it arrived. The clinic in Wana village is not a sophisticated facility. 3 rooms. Concrete floor. A tin roof that makes the rain sound like an applause that cannot decide whether to be encouraging or overwhelming. Basic medications in a locked cabinet. A sterilizer that required persuasion to operate correctly, and that Sister Perpetua had developed a relationship with that could only be described as adversarial respect. We served approximately 300 people from the village and surrounding settlements. I was not a doctor. I had trained as a nurse in Lagos and had spent 30 years adding the field knowledge that formal training does not provide, the knowledge of a person who has diagnosed and treated in conditions that medical school textbooks do not anticipate. That Tuesday, I had 3 patients waiting when I arrived and 4 more by 8:30. A child with the specific presentation of malaria that I had learned to read in a way that preceded any test result. A woman whose pregnancy was entering its final weeks and who I had been monitoring with the specific attention of someone who knew that the nearest hospital was 4 hours away and that the distance was not metaphorical. An elderly man whose diabetes had been managed by the clinic's program for 2 years and who arrived every Tuesday with the faithful reliability of someone who understood that faithfulness was the appropriate response to consistent care. I was reviewing his readings when it happened. Not dramatically. Not with any announcement. A pressure in my chest that I recognized immediately because I had spent 30 years recognizing symptoms in other people and because the Lord apparently did not intend to let me spend a 31st year failing to apply that recognition to myself. I sat down on the clinic chair, and the clinic became the last ordinary place I occupied for 8 minutes. Sister Perpetua found me. She told me this in the district hospital 3 days later, sitting beside my bed with the specific composure of a woman who has been trained in both Catholic spirituality and practical emergency response, and who deploys both simultaneously without any apparent contradiction. "You were still sitting upright," she said. "That's what was confusing. You looked like you were thinking." "I was somewhere else entirely," I said. "I know," she said. I could tell. There is a difference between a person who is unconscious and a person who has gone somewhere. "You have seen it before," I said. "Several times," she said. "In this work. The people who are very close to the other side. They go somewhere before they go." She had performed CPR with the specific efficiency of someone whose training was recent and whose faith was not abstract. The elderly man with diabetes had run to the village center where a young man with a motorcycle had made it to the district road in time to meet the ambulance. 8 minutes. From my side, the clinic chair, the patient records, the elderly man's faithful Tuesday arrival, Sister Perpetua's voice that I heard as a very distant sound, stepped back. Not violently. Not with any drama. The way a conversation pauses between one meaningful statement and the next. And in the pause, something opened. Not a tunnel. Not a white light in the way it is described in the accounts I had read. A presence. Immediate. Specific. The specific presence of the one whose work I had been doing for 30 years, or who I had believed I was doing the work of. What he showed me in the pause restructured everything. I have walked into villages for 30 years. Not metaphorically. Literally. The specific physical experience of arriving at a place that does not know you are coming. Where you are a stranger and the strangeness is mutual. You do not know them, and they do not know you, and the work of 30 years has been the work of converting strangeness into trust and trust into something that enables genuine help. I arrived somewhere that made every one of those arrivals feel like preparation for this one. Not a village. Not a geography. A presence. A quality of being received that made every other reception I had ever experienced feel like a preliminary sketch. The specific experience of arriving somewhere that was expecting you. Not in the way that a congregation expects a missionary, as a resource, as a program, as the person who brings the thing they need from outside. As a person. Specifically. Completely. Known before you introduced yourself. "Oh," I said. Not from surprise. From the specific recognition of something you have been moving toward for 30 years, finally becoming visible. "This is what I was going to," I said. The understanding came from everything around me before the presence arrived. Not "you were going to this." You have always been inside this. Every village was inside this. Every sick child, every difficult birth, every Tuesday morning with malaria and diabetes and the pregnancy that could not wait for a hospital 4 hours away, all of it was inside this. "I didn't know," I said. "You knew in pieces," came the response. "You were about to see the whole." And the presence arrived. And 30 years of mission field stood up inside me and finally understood what it had been doing. He arrived knowing the villages. Not as a list. As a living knowledge. The specific interior knowledge of someone who was in every one of them before I arrived and who remained in every one of them after I left. "You know who this is," he said. "Yes," I said. And the yes came from 30 years of working in his name, sometimes with full awareness of his presence in the work, sometimes grinding through it on faith alone, Sometimes in the specific dry season of mission work where you are doing what you came to do and feeling nothing that confirms the doing is what it was supposed to be. Through all of it. Yes, every village, he said. You were already there, I said. Before you, he confirmed. And after you. And during. I thought I was bringing you, I said. I know, he said. Tell me what you were actually doing, he said. I was serving, I said. What else? He said. I was building, I said. Clinics. Community. Trust. What else? He said. I went deeper. I was learning, I said slowly. Every village taught me something I had not known before I arrived. Yes, he confirmed. What were you learning? How to see people, I said. How to sit with conditions I could not fix. How to be genuinely useful rather than institutionally useful. How to let go of my program when the person in front of me had a different need than the program anticipated. And in the learning, he said. I was being formed, I said. Yes, he confirmed. And I thought the mission was the people I was serving, I said. The mission, he said, was also you. Show me what you mean, I said. Before the 7 revelations, he said something. I wrote it on the back of a patient intake form that Sister Perpetua had brought to the hospital at my request. I had nothing else to write on, and I was not going to let precision fade before I had it recorded. He said, You were not sent to them. You were sent with them. The preposition makes all the difference, and most of mission history got it wrong. Not to them, I said. To implies a direction, he said. A movement from a place of having toward a place of needing. A possessor of the thing going toward a recipient of the thing. That is the missionary model, I said. That is the colonial model dressed in theological language, he said. Directly. Without apology. I felt that land. With them, he said. With implies accompaniment. Journey alongside. The sharing of a road rather than the delivery of a package. 2 people going somewhere together, I said. Rather than one person bringing something to another, he confirmed. What is the destination of the with journey? I asked. The same destination for both of you, he said. The same encounter with the presence that neither of you fully possesses. That neither of you can give the other. That both of you are moving toward together. The missionary and the village, I said slowly, both on the way. Neither one the destination for the other, he confirmed. I treated them as my destination, I said. And missed, he said, what you were being taken toward through them. 30 years of mission, I said. And I was the one being formed. Among other things, he said. But significantly, yes. The field was the formation, I said. The villages, he confirmed, were your teachers. Show me what mission actually is, I said. From where you are standing, I said. Not from the training program. Not from the organization's mission statement. From the truth of it. He showed me. What he showed me first was not a map of unreached people groups. Not a strategic deployment of workers to geographic locations with the lowest Christian percentage. Not the specific numerical framework that mission organizations use to measure progress and justify funding. He showed me a single moment. A woman in a village in South Sudan. 2003. The 3rd month of my posting there. Her name was Akuit. She was 41 years old, and her husband had been killed the previous year, and her 3 children were alive, and she was doing the specific work of surviving that the world outside South Sudan was not watching. I had sat with her on a Thursday afternoon. Not to preach. Not because my program required it. Because she was sitting outside her shelter, and she looked like a person who needed someone to sit beside her. I sat. We did not speak much. My Dinka was inadequate and her English was limited. We sat for 90 minutes. I remember that, I said, watching what he showed me. That, he said, was one of the most significant acts of mission in your 30 years? I was just sitting, I said. You were present, he confirmed. Fully. Without agenda. Without program. Without the requirement that the time produce a reportable outcome. I was just there, I said. Yes, he confirmed. And what did it do? I asked. For a Kuwait, he said, it confirmed something she was in danger of losing. What? I asked. That she was worth sitting beside, he said. That, he said, is the center of what mission is. The first revelation, he said, is the one that restructures everything else. Tell me, I said. Every person you walked toward in 30 years of mission, he said, was already known to me. I knew that theologically, I said. You knew it as a statement, he confirmed. Not as the full reality it describes. Tell me the full reality, I said. Every person, he said, in every village you have ever entered was known. Not generally. Specifically. By name. By interior life. By the specific suffering they were carrying and the specific longing underneath the suffering. Known before I arrived, I said. Known before they were born, he confirmed. Then what did my arrival add? I asked. The honest question. The one the mission organization would not appreciate, but that the situation demanded. What did you add? He asked. Tell me first what I added, and then tell me what I thought I was adding, he said. What I thought I was adding, I said, was knowledge of you. Access to the gospel. The possibility of salvation that would otherwise not have been available. And what you were actually adding, he said. Tell me, I said. You were adding the experience of being sought, he said. Of being worth walking to. Of being significant enough that someone left their comfort and came to where they were. Not the theology, I said slowly. Not the theology as the primary gift, he confirmed. The presence. The act of showing up. The specific message communicated not by the words spoken, but by the feet that walked to the village. Someone came, I said. Someone came, he confirmed. And that mattered, I said. That, he said, mattered more than you know. The second revelation, he said, is the one that will challenge your identity most. Tell me, I said. You were sent to receive, he said, as much as you were sent to give. I paused. The missionary as receiver, I said. The missionary as the one who goes, he said, specifically to encounter what cannot be encountered anywhere else. The specific knowledge of the divine that is carried in communities that your tradition has never reached. The specific expression of the image of God that appears nowhere else in exactly that form. Every people group, I said slowly, carries a specific facet, he confirmed, of the divine image, that no other people group carries in the same way. And by going, I said, you received facets, he confirmed, of the divine character, that your tradition of origin did not carry. The Dinka woman Akuit, I said. What did she carry? A quality of endurance, he said, that was not merely human resilience. A specific capacity for sustained dignity in conditions specifically designed to strip it. That quality you received. It is in you now. And without going to her, I said. You would not have it, he confirmed. The mission enriched me, I said. Not just them. The mission, he said, was designed to enrich both. The movement was always bidirectional. I was trained to see it as unidirectional, I said. Yes, he confirmed. And in seeing it that way, you frequently arrived as a giver and failed to be available as a receiver. I came with my hands full, I said. Yes, he confirmed. And full hands, he said, cannot receive. Come back with empty hands, he said, and you will receive what 30 years of full hands have been preventing. The third revelation, he said, is the one that will cost you most professionally. Tell me, I said. The gospel you were trained to deliver, he said, and the gospel I sent. Are they different? I asked. In emphasis, he said, which produces a difference in effect that is not small. Tell me the difference, I said. The gospel you were trained to deliver, he said, was primarily a message about the afterlife, about where a person goes after death, about the transaction, repentance, and confession required to ensure the correct destination. The salvation message, I said. A salvation message, he confirmed. Not the whole one. What is the whole one? I asked. The whole gospel, he said, is a message about life. About the life available right now. About the liberation from what oppresses a person in the present, the internal oppressions of fear and shame, and the conviction of worthlessness, and the external oppressions of poverty and injustice and systemic neglect. The kingdom, I said. The kingdom now, he confirmed. Not as a substitute for the afterlife, but as its inseparable companion. Your kingdom come, I said. Your will be done on earth. As it is in heaven, he completed. That prayer was not about the future only. It was about the present. It was the original mission statement. And I was preaching, I said slowly, the afterlife portion. While living in villages, he confirmed, where the present suffering was the most urgent theological reality. They needed the kingdom now, I said. And you brought them preparation for later, he said. Which is not nothing. But not everything, I said. The full gospel, he said, addresses both the present suffering and the eternal destination. In that order, he said. Present first, I said. Always, he confirmed. The fourth revelation, he said, is the one that gave me the most peace. Tell me, I said. The people who rejected your message, he said. I had carried those faces for 30 years. The village elder in DRC who had listened to my presentation with impeccable politeness and then said, through the translator, we already know the one who made everything. We have known him since before your grandfather's grandfather was born. The woman in northern Ghana who had said, the name you call him is a foreign name. The name we call him is our own name. But we are talking about the same one. The young man in South Sudan who had said, why do I need your message to find the one who is already here? They were not rejecting you, he said. They were not rejecting me, I confirmed. Feeling the weight of it. They were protecting something, he said. What were they protecting? I asked. Their own genuine, pre-existing, unmediated relationship with me, he said, which your arrival was implicitly threatening to reclassify as insufficient. We told them, I said quietly, that what they had was not enough. You told people, he said, who had been knowing me in their own specific way for generations, that their knowing was inadequate and needed to be replaced. And they resisted, I said. They protected, he confirmed. A real and genuine thing. Were they right? I asked. Their knowing was real, he said. It was incomplete in certain ways. So was yours. The invitation was never to replace their knowing with your version. It was to deepen both, I said. Together, he confirmed. We came to replace, I said. Instead of to enrich, he confirmed. The rejection, I said, was wisdom. Often, he confirmed. Yes. Tell me about the damage, I said, because I needed to hear it, even though I knew it would be the hardest revelation. Tell me what was done in the name of mission that should not have been done, I said. He was quiet for a moment that felt like grief. The languages, he said. The languages suppressed, I said. The languages that carried specific understandings of the sacred, he said, that had no equivalent in the missionary's language. When those languages were suppressed in school programs, in worship services that required the colonial language, those understandings were suppressed with them. We told them, I said, that God only speaks certain languages. Yes, he confirmed. And what was lost? I asked. Specific descriptions of me, he said, that your tradition did not have. Specific names. Specific relational frameworks. Specific ways of understanding the sacred that were genuine and accurate, and that the world is poorer for having lost. We impoverish the understanding of God, I said. In the name of expanding it, he confirmed. The cultural practices, I said. The practices labeled as demonic, he confirmed. Many of which were genuine expressions of the sacred knowledge those communities carried. Not all. Some practices were genuinely harmful, and the naming of that was correct. But not all of it was, I said. The broad classification of indigenous spiritual practice as darkness, he said, destroyed genuine light. In the name of bringing light, I said. Yes, he said. I was quiet for a long time. Can it be recovered? I asked. Some of it, he said. Not all. What was lost is genuinely lost. What is the response? I asked. Humility, he said, and the willingness to go back and listen instead of speak. This time I said, with empty hands, he confirmed. Show me what genuine mission looks like, I said. Not from my organization's framework. From above. He showed me. Not programs. Not statistics. Not reports submitted to headquarters measuring conversions and church plants and community development metrics. He showed me moments. A woman in northern Mozambique whose child had died and who had been told by the traditional healer that the death was caused by a neighbor's jealousy. And a missionary, not me, someone I had never met, who had sat with her for 3 days and helped her grieve without reinforcing the framework of blame. That, he said. A teacher in South Sudan who had learned enough Dinka to sing the children's prayers in their own language. Not translating a foreign prayer. Learning the prayers they already had and joining them in their own voice. That, he said. A medical worker in DRC who had discovered that a local plant had properties that addressed a specific infection and who had not dismissed this as superstition, but had listened to the healer who knew the plant and learned what the healer knew. That, he said. Presence, I said, watching what he was showing me. Genuine presence, he confirmed. Humility, I said. The specific humility of a person who arrives knowing they are also a receiver, he confirmed. Service, I said. Service that does not require transformation of the recipient as payment, he confirmed. What does it require? I asked. Nothing, he said. The genuine mission, he said, serves without the requirement that the person served become what the server came to make them. Unconditional, I said. Yes, he confirmed. That is very different from what I was trained to do, I said. Yes, he said. It is also harder, he said. And more honest, he said. And more effective, he said. The 7th revelation, he said, is the one that will change what you count. Tell me, I said. The most powerful thing you did in 30 years of mission, he said, never appeared on any report you submitted to any organization. What was it? I asked. He showed me. Not a dramatic moment. Not a mass conversion or a community transformation or any of the metrics that mission reports are built around. He showed me a Sunday morning in northern Ghana, 2007, a 9-year-old girl named Davina, who had been watching the clinic from outside for 3 weeks, coming close and then retreating, something keeping her from the door. I had noticed her on the 3rd week and walked out of the clinic and sat on the ground outside, the actual ground, in the dust and waited. She had approached eventually. She had said nothing. I had said nothing. She had sat beside me for an hour and then gone home. I barely remember that, I said. She does, he said. What happened to her? I asked. She is now 26 years old, he said. She runs a community health program in her district. She has built 2 water stations and a maternal health clinic. Because of an hour in the dust? I said. Because of an hour in the dust, he confirmed. That told a 9-year-old girl that her approach was welcome, that she was worth sitting with, that whoever this woman was, she would not leave when Abina came closer. It changed her trajectory, I said. It told her, he said, that she mattered. To a stranger, without condition. And from that knowing, he said, she built something. None of that, I said quietly, was in any report. No, he confirmed. Start counting differently, he said. Tell me about the people who found you without us, I said. The villages no missionary ever reached, I said. The people who lived and died without the gospel in the form I was trained to deliver it. He was quiet for a moment. What do you need to understand about them? He asked. Whether they were lost, I said. Because the framework I was trained in said they were. Tell me what you actually believe, he said. Not the framework. What you believe. I went inward honestly. I believe, I said slowly, that you were in every village before we were. That you have been available to every person who has ever lived. That the specific, limited, culturally housed version of the gospel that any single tradition carries is not the fence that separates the saved from the lost. Continue, he said. I believe that you judge the heart, I said. The genuine reaching toward what is real and good and true. The genuine love expressed toward the vulnerable. The genuine humility before whatever a person understands the sacred to be. Is that what you believe? He said. Yes, I said. Then you have been working for 30 years, he said, inside a framework that contradicted what you actually believed. I felt the full weight of that. Yes, I said. The people who found me without you, he said, did not find me instead of you. They found me by the path available to them, as you found me by the path available to you. The paths converge, I said. Not because all paths are the same, he confirmed, but because the destination is the same. And the destination, I said, is you. And you, he said gently, were never the gatekeeper. No, I confirmed. You were a fellow traveler, he said. The 7 revelations were complete. I had what I needed, more than I expected, more than I had organized categories for. And then he turned from the showing to me. Margaret, he said. Yes, I said. What are you running from? He asked. I went completely still. Not because I denied it. Because it arrived in the exact location where the most honest answer had been living for approximately 25 years and had never been given full space. Running from, I said. 30 years of never stopping, he said. Village to village. Posting to posting. South Sudan to Ghana to DRC to Mozambique. The woman who has given everything to this work. Yes, I said. What is she running from? He said. I searched honestly. Lagos, I said finally. Tell me, he said. I left Lagos at 26, I said. With a sense of calling that was genuine. I do not doubt the calling. But, he said, but underneath the calling, I said, there was something that the mission field made it possible to avoid. What? He said. A life I was afraid to build, I said. In one place. With one person. With the specific vulnerability of staying put long enough to be fully known. The mission, he said, was also a place to put your attention so completely that the other question never got enough space to be heard. The question of being known, I said. Rather than useful, he confirmed. I have been useful for 30 years, I said. Yes, he confirmed. And unknown, he said. To the people who might have known me, I said. If I had stayed. The mission field, he said, was real and genuine. And it was also where you went instead of the risk of being loved. Go back, he said. And also go home. Sister Perpetua was beside me when I returned. She told me this in the district hospital, still sitting in the chair she had occupied since my admission, because she is the kind of woman who does not leave until the thing requiring her presence is resolved. And she had decided that my return to consciousness qualified. "You were gone," she said. "I know," I said. 8 minutes, she said. "I know," I said. "Where?" She said, the question I knew she would ask. Because she is the kind of person who asks the real question. "Somewhere that showed me what we are doing," I said. "And what we are missing." "Tell me," she said. And I told her. In the district hospital in Zambezia province, with the Mozambican evening outside and the specific sounds of a hospital ward around us. I told her all 7 revelations. She listened with the quality of a Catholic nun who has spent 23 years in the field and who therefore brings to every significant account both theological depth and the specific pragmatism of a person who has encountered so much human reality that they have stopped being surprised by the divine. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. The sitting with the Kuit, she said finally. "Yes," I said. "I have done that," she said, and filed it in my mind as not real work. "It was the work," I said. She looked at her hands in her lap. "I came with full hands," she said. "Yes," I said. "So did I said. "We have been carrying too much," she said. "Yes," I said. "We go back later," she said. "Yes," I said. "With empty hands," I said. "And full eyes," she said. "Yes," I said. "That exactly." I left the organization 8 months after the clinic. Not in anger. The organization is composed of sincere, genuinely devoted people who are doing the best they can within a framework that has real strengths and real limitations. I do not dismiss what I was part of or the genuine good it produced. But the framework could not hold what I had been given. The report structure required outcomes I could no longer honestly measure. The metrics required numbers I could no longer honestly prioritize. The theology required certainties I could no longer honestly hold with the absoluteness the organization needed. I resigned by letter, respectfully, with gratitude for 30 years of formation, and I walked back into the villages, without a program, without a report structure, without the institutional framing that had told me who I was and what I was doing, with empty hands. What I do now is harder to describe and easier to do. I sit with people. I treat the sick with what I have. I listen more than I speak. I learn the languages rather than teaching mine. I ask what the community carries that I don't, rather than arriving with what I carry and assuming they need it. Abina, the girl from northern Ghana, now 26, building water stations and a maternal health clinic, came to find me 6 months after I left the organization. She had been told by someone who knew someone that I was no longer with the mission. She wanted to know if I was still in the field. "I am still in the field," I told her. "Good," she said. "Because the work you do now, sitting on the ground with people, that is what we need." I looked at her. "How do you know what I do now?" I asked. "Because," she said, "it is what you always did best." Margaret Okonkwo Adeyemi, Zambezia Province, Mozambique.